Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday to each and every one of you. As I continue my audio, of course, for my book. Now, the first time I started to introduce my book, of course, audio reading it, I think I missed a part. So I want to go back and read that part, and then I'll continue writing to the chapters. Now, for the continuous chapters that I will continue to recite until the book is completed, I will not give an introduction. I will just, pick up from where I left off from the previous reading, and then I'll jump right into it. So in that way, it just rotates naturally, or it roll over naturally, so to speak. So there was a part that I actually forgot when I started to read the book, and actually it's at the third page. If you ever purchase the book, it's at the third page. So this is the part that I forgot to read, and let me read it. The fact that you belong to a particular social group should not inhibit you from making the right decisions as a human being, rather than from the basics of your social classification. So let me read that again. The fact that you belong to a particular social group should not inhibit you from making the right decision as a human being, rather than from the basis of social classification. So it means it doesn't matter what is your social classification. It doesn't matter if you're rich, you're poor, you have a lot of accolades, you don't have. When you're making a decision for another human being, or about your life, or a decision that will, in some way affect another human being, it should be from a personal point of view, from you as a human being when you make that decision. So you should not basically look at the person who is rich or poor and decide that you should make a decision based on those social classifications. Your decision should be made first as a human being. Okay? So as I continue reading the other parts, it says Miss Keely Jefferson, a Caucasian woman, muttered, and this basically is a little summary of what the book entails. So Miss Keely Jefferson, a Caucasian woman, mothered a black child, and her hubby response after finding out was priceless. And this is what he said. Maybe I was born a female and had a gender change and did not tell you. Because he's now just basically comforting her after she did not tell him when she met him that she had a baby during her school days, and she put this child up for adoption. So he is now the best support husband that any female could want. And this is what he said to her. He said, who knows? Maybe I was born a female and had a gender change and did not tell you. So, he's just comforting her in every area because she's now uncomfortable. She's now feeling, not so in a good space because she wants to basically tell him, listen, I didn't tell you when I met you so many years ago that I, put a child up for adoption. And then he said, I'm just kidding, but on a serious note, and this is what he said, the young woman is searching for her roots. And whether or not I like it, you, my wife, give life to her. So don't deny her of that privilege. I will support you to the end with whatever decision you made, but do get a DNA test first. So he's saying to her, listen, it doesn't matter you had a child in the past. You put it up for adoption because you were at college, it was college days. I will still love you the same. It will not change my love for who you are. But just make sure that this person is who she says she is, and then we'll take it from there. So that is a very supportive husband. That is, I'm sure every woman would want a husband to support her in her endeavors and in her goals and her dream. But he's going beyond. He's going that she made a mistake in the past. And it's not a mistake, well, yes, you can say it was a mistake because getting a baby at such an early age, it definitely, both families did not expect them to do that. But, in the long run, this child turned out to be the best thing ever. for this entire family. And if you read the book, you will see why I say that. But the basis of the book is that Miss Keely Jefferson, of course, the Caucasian woman, she is telling the story. So this is how the entire book was, unfold. And, he is basically just here to support her. And like I said, every wife, female, would want that support from their husband in that way. And I think vice versa, the wife could support her husband in that capacity as well. So let's say kudos, of course. Kudos to that husband. I think that he did an excellent job, and and there's still good people left in the world, of course. We have to always remember that. There's still great and good people left in the world. As I continue the chapter. At the other end of the room, the nurse was filing away medical charts as instructed by her supervisor. Oh, well, she thought, most jobs on your first day, and either answer the telephone or you have to file, which is true. So my herd, I'm enjoying it. Nevertheless, she was still so curious. Why is that so? She thought to herself. What could have possibly happened to this beautiful, well-kept human being who looked like she was in her 50s? She appeared hurt and frustrated and confused and battered, but still sweet and very beautiful, with lovely jet black hair and blue-green eyes. Nurse Shanice drifted away. What was the woman's life before? She thought to herself. She's thinking, what was that woman's life like before? Keely got up and slowly walked over to the nurse and said, I know you're wondering what happened to my mom and how did she end up in here. She opened her mouth to speak and then she closed it. I'm puzzled. How did you read my thoughts so clearly? I saw how you looked at my mom, responded Keely. Also, I have never seen you in here before, said Nurse Shanice. No, I was not. Today is my first day on the job, she replied. Oh, you are fresh. I can see that because for the last 15 years, my sister and I have been coming once a month at different times. I've never seen you here once. However, this is her last month because my family is relocating to Tennessee and we are taking her with us. Oh, that's nice, responded Nurse Shanice. What about your other sister? What about your other sister? She will still be here, but we will travel to Tennessee often to visit. She will travel to Tennessee often to visit my mom. Keely then looked at Nurse Shanice's hand and calmly guided her to sit down. She held her hand and calmly guided her to sit down next to her. She said, I can see that curiosity in you. Let me tell you our story because it's my mother's too. So Keely took the nurse's hand, put her to sit down next to her. She said, let me tell you the story of why my mom isn't here and what happened. This is where it all started. On that bright and sunny day, in that peaceful community where my mom once resided, said Keely. Pop, silence, pop, silence, pop. 3 gunshots. They were coming from the McKinney's home. Oh my God, what is happening? The neighbors were asking themselves, while concealing themselves behind a variety of furniture in their home. It's robbery at the McKinney's home, they assumed. Todd Johnson, a neighbor, very close friend of the McKinneys, thought and clarified. As he was explaining to the police officer with tears in his eyes that he was the person who called 911, as the bodies of John and Joshua McKinney was taken away. Todd stared at the body bags that were used to take away his friend of 30 years and his grandson. He never imagined that this could possibly be suicide and that his friend could take another person's life, and it was his grandson. Todd wanted answers, and he tried to play the scenario in his head, but soon realized that he was not going anywhere, and he had difficulty in comprehending the situation at hand. What did I miss? There had to be a sign. He knew John was a private person. But what? What did I miss? So he's now in his head asking himself this question: how my friend of 30 years could do something like this? Todd was holding his head in his hands, squeezing it. He closed his eyes and he recalled his last conversation with his friend yesterday afternoon. Indeed, that's it. He told me that he wanted to go on a vacation and he wanted him to overlook his family for him. Ah, said Todd. He knew what he was about to do, but I thought it was a vacation. If I had only known, I could have saved my friend's life. Todd kept repeating as he stared at the sky looking for answers. And then in the fleet, he felt weak in his feet. They could not have withstand his feet could not withstand the body weight any longer. And he fell to the ground and started to cry again. His wife came over to him and held him and said, "My love, there is nothing you could have possibly done if you did not see the signs." He sighed and took several deep breaths and shook his head in silence. Todd continued to reflect on all the good and sad times he shared with his friend of 30 years. The children started college together. The wives were pregnant at the same time. He remembered all like it was yesterday. Then he smiled, and Sarah and Gail were pregnant at the same time. And the other neighbors will tease them by saying, one took a chance and the other one took an advance. But it was all a stroke of luck. They didn't know how they happened, but both wives pregnant at the same time. He could not believe that the wives were pregnant together. But then Miley and Jason was born just a few weeks apart. He was there by his friend's side when his daughter Miley died as well. It was an unhealable position for Todd to comprehend. He remembered after Miley's death, he concluded that his friend needed counseling. And he even suggested that he would go with him. He would go with him for counseling. But John declined. "I'm fine," John said to his friend in that usual tone. "I'm okay. I'm focusing on my work and helping people in the community, and that's helping me heal." Todd shook his head again because he honestly believed that he could have helped his friend. If only. The police officer noticed Todd's action and said to him, "Take it easy, sir. I know how you're feeling. I lost a family member the same way too." Gail reached out again and tightened the hug on her husband's arm and murmured, "We have to be strong for each other, and we have to be strong for Sarah and the girls as well." He acknowledged and kept shaking his head in agreement. He would definitely want to do that for Sarah and the girls. Then Todd said, "I'm thinking about something now. Oh, forget it. Such a long time ago." "What happened a long time ago?" asked Gail. John asked me a weird question many years back, and I was wondering if that had anything to do with what happened now. She asked, "What is it, Todd? You're scaring me, honey. What is it? Tell me, what is it?" One night after a few drinks at the bar, we were heading back to the home, and John asked me if I choose between making love to him or his wife Sarah, what would I choose? What a weird question, she thought. "I thought so myself," he said. Now that's the end for now, but I will get into it, of course, in the next chapter. As I said, I want to stick to 15 minutes. So ladies and gentlemen, have a beautiful Sunday. It gets interesting from here. And of course, that's getting into the mind of a writer. Love you guys. Have a beautiful Sunday and see you in my next audio. Peace, love, and light to all. Take care.